Randy, I want to take just a few moments to talk to you a little bit about sanctification. As I was saying at the outset, we've got some desires to stay on track in the challenging dynamic of preaching gospel-centered, gospel-based, Christ-centered, grace-bathed sanctification. Yet that requires thoughtfulness in many ways. So, I guess the first question that I would have for you is: do you think that presently that there's misunderstanding about sanctification in the preaching and teaching of the church in general?
Well, I'd have to say yes to the question. I think we don't, at large, I'm not sure we understand what we don't understand. There's a sense in which I think there is more unity in belief than what we realize. At the same time, by application, more so than theology, I think there is a lot of difference.
Now that's interesting. This isn't really, we're going to answer the 5 questions we're always asking everybody, but when you said, I just want to press down on that just a little bit, that we would all confessionally agree pretty much, but yet operationally it's coming out different in tone and technique, I guess, and methods and everything else. Have you given any thought as to why that dichotomy exists?
Well, I do. First, to explain what the dichotomy is before the why, I think what we're talking about are people, if I were to ask you or anybody else, do we really think that we have theological legalists in the PCA or among our reform? No, we'd probably say no. If we really were honest to say, do we really have any antinomians who really say grace doesn't count, it doesn't matter, it's all about work? There's no one who does that. But at the same time, we have a lot of differences. I think it comes to the balance or the lack of balance in believing God's truth about justification and sanctification in an application way. Such as, if you take a walk is right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot. That's a balance. And you have to start with God's work of grace. And everything, Reformation Network, absolutely, God does it all. We know that. But it's followed by that step of obedience and trust and duty, whatever you want to call that. But if you've got someone to one side of that that's hopping more on one foot, but still using the other, they're still walking, but that other one may have the other foot. I always say you start with the step of grace, and it's going to be followed, it's a part of it, by the duty that follows. But I think we've got preaching and teaching and life experience among many of our people who are actually living or speaking messages in a way that says it is duty, 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 grace, duty, 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 and we hear that, and immediately we say, there's the legalist. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, there are people that are, grace, 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 grace. Oh yeah, well I believe in duty, but because of their application and how often it's spoken, and it's just such an imbalance, it leads to problems down the road.
So, realizing that there's antinomianism, or Calvin used to call it libertinism, and there's legalism, which one do you...
Well, let me say, practical, in my sense, I'd say it's a practical antinomianism, right, and a practical legalism.
Right. Theologically, we would already have the fence up against both of them.
Exactly.
But in implementation,
exactly.
That's it.